We were roommates in Basie's band. You remember the time we were in Paris, and most of the times Basie Band would stay. When we first started going to Europe, we stayed in the pretty fancy hotels and stuff, and where you couldn't have a guest, you couldn't do anything. So finally, we kind of broke away from that, and we started planning our own hotels. So this one particular time, we went way across town to this hotel, and
over by Gare de Lyon.
And we were trying to get back to the theater, I think Olympia Theater.
Yeah, we had to play Place de Playa, and we were late getting to our gig. And we came out the hotel across the street, and there was a taxi stand and a long queue, and it's impossible for us to get a cab. So I went up to the front of the line, and I was asking people, telling them we were very pressed and we were in a hurry trying to get to work, and would they please let us have the cab, and everybody, get away, so finally, in the cab, in the line, in the queue, was an Arab cat, and he came up and I touched him on the shoulder, and I told him that we were very pressed and we were musicians trying to get to work, and we played with Count Basie's band and so. And he kind of turned me away too. He wasn't telling the cab driver where he wanted to go. And I touched him again on his shoulder, and he turned around and looked at me, and I said, "Mon frère." That means my brother, mon frère. And he stepped back and gave us the cab. And then Benny and Bill Graham, he said, "What'd you tell him?" What'd you tell him?
I thought it was like magic because
he didn't know what the heck.
Well,
see, I know I lived around those people a long time. I lived in North Africa for a year and a half or so. And so I was with the Arabs all the time. So I know where they are, Mm-hmm. So when I told him I was in trouble and my brother, he stepped back. That's what happened.
Yeah. Somehow I remember this guy having on dark glasses, and the lens looked like Coca-Cola bottle. The glasses you can't see nobody's eyes through. And I remember he was kind of not a frightening cat, but straight up. I didn't think he would. That's why we were so startled to ask him, what did he say? Because I thought this was an unrelenting guy. As soon as he said, "Mon frère," whole scene changed. Yes. And I always thought, I said, damn, that's my roommate. This is the guy I want to room with. For me, some of the happiest times were the tours with Billy Eckstine. In fact, Frank has a history with Billy Eckstine before that, because I think, did you play with this band?
Yeah, but I knew him even before I knew him when he was with Earl Hines. He and Bud Johnson and I, they were much older than me, but we were all drinking buddies, So we used to drink together, So
that's a hell of a trio.
That's how I got in his band, he knew me. So after the war, I went by the Howard Theater to see his band. He said, "Look, I need a tenor player. My tenor player's going in the Army. Come over." I said, "Okay." So I quit my job, and they wouldn't even pay me because they didn't want me to quit. But I quit the job and I went on with the band. That was the first bebop band. Yeah. Yeah, with Art Blake and Fats Navarre and Gene Hammers and all those people. Hank Jones was in the band when we played here in New York at the Sudan too.
When we used to do those Birdland tours, Billy Eckstine was very instrumental in getting Basie started again after Basie had broken his big band down to a smaller group. And I think when Basie decided he was going to start up again, I think Billy Eckstine gave him stands and a bunch of other stuff.
And he recommended me to Basie. He's the one who recommended me to Basie.
Billy Eckstine did?
Yeah. Well, see, people don't want to give Billy Eckstine credit because he never was Uncle Tom and none of that. And he didn't take no bullshit. But actually, he's done more for the music than a whole lot of people, because if you stop to think of it, everybody that we revere in the bebop thing, everybody was in his band. Everybody. Dizzy Gillespie, Charlie Parker, the Mad Lad, Tommy Potter, Tag Jones, Gail Brockman, Howard McGee, Art Blakey, Lucky Thompson, everybody. Booney, Fats Navarro, Miles Davis, everybody that you people we revere came right out of Billy Eckstine's band. And Billy was responsible for all of that.
Wow.
He was the one, but nobody wants to give him credit.
I never knew that.
I know, because people don't want to know it.
Right.
Because they blackballed him. They blackballed him. He broke all the records at the Paramount Theater. They got TV shows of this. He broke all the records at the Paramount Theater. When he played the Paramount Theater, you couldn't even walk in the street. You couldn't. Cars couldn't get out on Broadway. With so many people, women out there. And one little girl came up and threw her head on his shoulder. He don't know. He just come out after the show. She put her head on his shoulder like that, and he probably put on the cover of Life magazine. After that, he couldn't work in this country. So where's Billy Eckstine? Oh, he's in Australia. Where's it be? Oh, he's in Europe. He couldn't get a job here. Shit, Frank Sinatra was going to the gym then. Frank Sinatra wasn't doing nothing. Billy Eckstine was the matinee idol, you know? So that's how Frank Sinatra got in. You don't know who that girl was, just a teenager come up, you know. He was a matinee idol.
But that's the kind of things that they use to bust anybody who was getting too big. I think I thought about this when O.C. Smith, my friend, died. I thought about how many lives he had touched. And then after that, I started thinking about how many lives we've touched. Frank Wess has touched millions of lives. We don't even realize this, but when people hear our music, you're touching their lives. And when you stop to think about that, I know this is not a thing for Frank Wess, but to me, a lot of times I've been with Frank, and I remember Frank being in the army way back, Josephine Baker days, all those days and stuff. And when you start adding up how many lives they've affected, oh man, I mean, it's really overwhelming, millions. And for me to think I know somebody who's touched 1 million lives, all of a sudden.
Like Billy Taylor, I went to high school with him, and he was a disc jockey in his own home. He had powers of 78s that high. And I'd go up to his house and he said, listen to this, listen to that. And, he told me what to listen to, and he was playing then,
Right. So.
And so he helped me with learning tunes and all that,
Yeah.
So.
It's like a ripple effect. He touched your life, and then you touch.
Well, he's been doing what he's doing for, ever since I've known him, When I was 13, I was in high school. And that was in 1935. And that's when I met Billy Taylor. And he was playing then. I mean, working at night. In clubs playing,
But see my point? He was touching lives way back then, and yours, and look how many, consequently, look how many.
Like in his house, he always had records. I never had that, because I didn't have no money, But he had records, stacks of records like that. He played records all day long, everybody,
Mm-hmm.
He said, listen to this, this is so-and-so and so, So he pulled my coat to so many different things,
Mm-hmm.
When I was, teenager.
Right. And look at what a ripple effect that has had.
Yeah.
When you stop thinking of, I tell you, I didn't think about this till O.C. died.
Yeah, well, like then, you had to learn in the street because they didn't have no schools teaching jazz in the schools,
Mm-hmm.
Jazz was a dirty word. You told somebody you want to be a jazz musician, they think you're crazy.
Yeah.
I said, how you going to do that? You can't make a living doing that, So that's the way it was.
But also.
But then you had to learn in the street because you didn't have no jazz schools, Nobody in school knew anything about it, really. Very few people. It just happened that we were lucky because we were in a school that had an orchestra teacher was Mr. Grant, Henry Grant. and he was very modern, you know, and he had taught Duke Ellington, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, he was way ahead of everything, and he always encouraged, you know, encouraged people like I'd go go to his house for a lesson after school, and I may not leave his house at 10 o'clock at night. He'd be telling me all kind of stuff about everything, and he could explain anything to you, theoretically, you know. And you let you know just what it was in the European classical music and what the same thing was in jazz. You know, so you run into people, you're lucky like that, you know. I just happen to be lucky, you know.
Well, that was, I guess you learned through teachers and through your friends, because
yeah, well, you had to learn in the street because, you know, if you didn't learn from the cats that were in the street playing, how would you learn? Teachers couldn't.
And they wouldn't let you play jazz in school.
That's right. When I went to Howard University, if they caught you playing jazz, they'd put you out of school. They put you out of the conservatory. So that's where that was, you know.
Yeah, well, in New Orleans, they wouldn't let us play jazz.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you, it was a bad word, you know.
Yeah. You wanted to be a jazz musician, don't come near my daughter.
That's right. That's a bad word. Nobody wanted to know about it, you know.
For me, some of the happiest times were the tours with Billy Eckstine. He was the judge, and they would bring people up on trial, and they were tried for being seen with an ugly chick at 2 o'clock in the morning. That was mainly, ugly ladies were called bats. So if you were proven guilty, you had to pay a bat tax. Now, the way the whole court scene went was Billy Eckstine would go in the back of the bus and sit right in the middle. And I think somehow, I don't know if memory serves me correctly, there was a basketball that used to roll down the aisle, and that would signify that court's in session. So we'd go to the back of the bus, and I remember sometimes Henry Coker was an attorney. He would be defending Frank Foster, and Billy Eckstine would be the judge. That was some of the funniest times. I can't even begin to tell you.
And then at other times when B wasn't on the bus, Thad Jones could sit up at night and recite Paul Laurence Dunbar for hours.
He could also read the New York Times like Paul Laurence Dunbar.
Yeah, he could use that dialect and recite all of his poems word for word for hours. Thad Jones could do that.
That was a hell of a bus, because at
It
this
was a hell
same
of a
time,
band, you know.
Eddie Jones was studying
He was studying mathematics
calculus.
and everything. And studying French when first time we went to Paris. He found out we were going to Paris. He started studying French, and by the time we got to France, he was arguing politics with the French people. And he graduated from Howard University without any books, without an overcoat. You see him in the middle of winter walking across the campus with a sweater on, a football sweater. He'd have to wait till other people got through studying before he could get the books to study. And he graduated with honors.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And,
We had a lot of
Billy Mitchell was studying hypnotism.
Yeah,
it's
everybody
used
was
in
into
medicine.
something, you know.
Everybody had their head in some kind
What
of.
was Frank West's thing? What was he doing?
I was in the music.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd be sitting like writing
and trying to play that flute.
What was Benny Powell doing?
He was doing everything.
Everything.
That's my pastor.
I heard that every town that the bus pulled into, there'd be a young lady waiting in the car out in front of the hotel.
Well, I don't know if it wasn't him. It was Joe Newman.
Oh no, Joe Newman.
He was notorious.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, Joe Newman was unbelievable.
I told him for his birthday present, one time I was going to buy him a whole Girl Scout troop. Just open the door and close the door. Oh, Joe Newman was.
Yeah, Joe Newman was unbelievable.
When we would play in Chicago, that's where Joe lived. His mother would always cook dinner for Joe's special friends in the band. You know, he would Frank West, myself, maybe Frank Foster, Eddie Jones. I can't remember exactly.
And they bring dinner to the theater.
But when we'd go to his house, Joe's mother would wait until it was just the right moment. She said, "Oh, Joe, you received these awards from Playboy magazine," and I don't know, she would do something that was pick that moment. Almost everybody at the table had received one of these, but a special thing for him. "Oh, Joe, this came for you, and this other award came for you," and she would just act like, you know, he was the biggest celebrity. She was his biggest fan.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But you had to meet, once you meet a man's mother, then you understand everything. All them things that you don't understand about him, they all come clear.
We had a magic band because everybody was full of fun and on and off the bandstand. Because we used to, now I see bands now, you know, trying to emulate the Basie thing, and the main ingredients was the fun. I mean, this is up seriously and
Everybody
stuff.
stayed fun, like music is fun. This music is supposed to be fun. Everybody's sitting down and trying to see how many notes they can play and how loud and how fast they can play, and ain't nothing happening,
Ain't listening to
We
nothing.
had fun. Like we'd be sitting up playing, Freddie Green sitting behind me, and we'd be swinging like crazy. Freddie, hey, Magic, 1 o'clock. I look up at 1 o'clock and it'd be the ugliest woman in the whole place. And he said, Frank Foster. And all this shit is going on while we playing all the time. Everybody had
Oh yeah.
all through the band, everybody had shit going on.
I think at
And people
Birdland.
fucking with Basie too,
What would you do to Basie?
Oh, everything. They put the shit on the piano. Like one time Billy Mitchell put J on a sheet of paper, had J-A-M-F on, Well, that was a saying that we had. We call it, he's a jive-ass motherfucker, So, Basie come and he looked and said, what is this, Billy Mitchell say, just a mere friend. There's always something going on.
Marshall used to have some kind of a thing where he would kind of spit into a Kleenex, clear his throat and stuff, and put the Kleenex, throw his Kleenex under the chair. Was it Billy Graham who lit it? Somebody lit the Kleenex under Marshall's chair.
Oh, the band was always some shit going on.
Billy Graham was another guy. I mean,
Yeah,
he
was
doesn't
nuts.
really, people don't remember he was with Basie's band, or don't even remember him. He was with Dizzy Gillespie, and in fact, that was his detriment. He tried to be crazier than Dizzy Gillespie.
He was. He didn't try to be. He was. He was nuts.
Yeah, but Dizzy made it work.
Bill Eckstein was sitting in Basie's seat. Basie was sitting across the aisle, and right in front of Billy Graham sitting right behind Basie. So Billy Graham said, hey, Basie, we gonna stop and eat tonight? He said, no, we're not stopping tonight, Bill. He said, man, we're hungry. We need some, we have man thing to eat. He said, you got off and went late, And no, we're not stopping tonight. We're going on in. And Billy Graham reached over the chair and grabbed. He had Basie by the throat. Basie's eyes.
Because nobody touched Basie.
He was choking the shit out of Basie. And Basie tried to fire him, and Billy Eckstein wouldn't let him fire him. He said, well, you gonna fire the man? The man's hungry. You can't fire the man. He wouldn't let him fire Billy Graham. Yeah. But that was funny thing, when Billy Graham first came in the band. Well, I always sat next to the piano. Bassist right here, and I'm right here. And we were down at Pep's. Remember, Billy Graham and Thad were roommates, you know.
Oh,
And they both got sick at the same time. Anyway, we're in Peps playing, and Basie would, you know, he would just, he said, look at Billy Graham. Billy Graham sat right here next to me. He looked at me. I don't like him. Yeah, Basie would say that. Now, that's when Billy first came in the band. Now, he didn't mean that he didn't like him. What he meant was that he knew he couldn't handle Billy. You know, he knew that. He could tell right from the beginning. That's when he'd say he didn't like him. You know. But he was crazy about Billy, you know. And Billy, when we went on a Birdland tour, we have Billy Stein, Zoot Sims, Stan Getz, and Lester Young. You remember, Helen?
Errol Garner.
Yeah, and Lester Young was the only one on the show that didn't have any music. And Billy Graham said, man, what the hell, you the president, you supposed to have, you know. Billy Graham wrote him 2 arrangements, rehearsed the band of the tunes that he was playing, and gave it to Prez, you know. So he'd have music to play on the show. He was something else, you know.
But I think those were some of the happiest days. And
Oh yeah, it was a happy band. Yeah,
with Sarah Vaughan
that's what
also.
Basie wanted. So Basie never messed with nobody. You know, and he never fired nobody. You had to fire yourself. Yeah. He never rehearsed the band. We rehearsed the band. Marshall, Joe Newman, Frank Foster, Thad Jones, everybody rehearsed the band, but him, he just sit back and listen, you know.
Yeah.
He never said nothing.
Really?
Well, he hired the best musicians and let them do what he hired them to do, and leave them alone. He didn't tell us what to do. We knew what he wanted.
Yeah.
And then too, he always led by example. He was always neat.
Yeah.
Always had some great shoes.
Yeah.
Great. So you
And
know,
always into a bunch of shit. He always into some shit. Basie was always into something.
quietly.
Quietly, yeah. He never said anything, but he was always in this bunch.
Like what? Like business-wise, women-wise?
Yeah, any kind of way, any kind of
So
way.
it's
And he
something-
loved to gamble.
Oh, yeah.
Once we were on a train platform in England, waiting on a train, you know, and a fella passed by with a greyhound. It's misting rain, you know how the weather in England always terrible. And they said, can he run? The kid said, yeah, he can run. Say, what's his name? He told him what his name was. Basie bet on him and won.
Wow.
Yeah, he bet on anything. He loved to bet.
That's funny.
One time he told me it was a beautiful sunny day, and he was at home, you know, and he wanted to go to the track because he loved the track. We used to be at Basie, we used to go to the track all the time. And he said he wanted to go to the track and he didn't have no money. So he said, damn. He said, Catherine's got all them fur coats in there. I get one of them fur coats, you know, and so he got one. She had about 6 or 7 fur coats, you know, so he went in the closet and got one of the fur coats and balled it all up like that, and he threw it out the window, you know, second story. And he looked out the window, and his mother-in-law was down there working in the flower garden, you know. She just looked at him and she said, no, Bill. No.